just face it, I approve this message because it's true, not a parody.
When you think about the Joe Biden you saw in the debate, ask yourself a question. Do you think the guy who was defeated by the stairs, got taken down by his bike, lost a fight with his jacket, and regularly gets lost, makes it 4 more years in the White House? And you know who's waiting behind him, right? Vote Joe Biden today and Kamala Harris tomorrow.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
And now, live from Times Square, the best thing on all of television, That Kevin Show.
Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps,
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him as Hostradamus.
Of course, That Kevin Show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be That Donald Show. But we don't have that, so we have That Kevin Show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. And tonight, America Now, America First. Marc joins us. Fighting the fight for women everywhere, Christine Serrano Glassner. Sketch comedy from Penn Holderness and the Babylon Bee, and Gracie Abrams and Taylor Swift in the spotlight. And now, live from Times Square, where a lonely late-night TV host wonders why his boss suggested he should replace that guy running for president. Here's the Kevin!
David, we appreciate your help as always. I don't even know how you found out about that, by the way. That's disturbing. Yeah, it was in the aftermath of our really incredible coverage on the Salem News Channel of the debate. If you have not gotten Salem News Channel for your household, you need to, because, well, we set an all-time record for our own viewership. And the nice thing about streamers now is that you know exactly how many people are watching. So we had like a 2,000% increase in audience on the night of the debate. And I'm sure it was part of my, brilliant commentary that was breaking it all down that made that happen. But I got the strangest, I think it was a compliment from my boss. And I'm not talking about Mr. Hastings, because he's the direct boss. He's the one that says, hey, put more makeup on before you go on camera. But Mr. Pahigian, the big boss, the general manager, he sends me this note and he says, hey, K-Mac. He likes to call me K-Mac. He says, hey, K-Mac, nice job on the debate. Appreciate you, all the effort that you went to and so forth. And I thought we did a great job. I had great guests. It was really stellar. In fact, if you want to go rewatch the hour, because it was the kind of thing you'd want to write down and go see on purpose. You can go over to snc.tv and look under the specials, and then look under if you get under the long list of all the specials, and way down at the very bottom of the list, right there at the very bottom, it says special coverage with Kevin McCullough, and then you can click on that and see it. There's a lot of other special coverage you can see there too, but you go all the way down to the very, very, very bottom, because we were on at midnight. Then you see the special coverage with Kevin McCullough, and it's there, and it'll change your life, I promise. Anyway, he said something very odd. He said, thank you for doing the coverage. You looked better than normal, which, look, at my age and stage of life, if anybody says anything positive, I just take it as a win. So I don't know what normal looks like, but if he said I looked better than normal, maybe my cue ball wasn't as shiny as it normally is or whatever. I did have a makeup girl. They splurged for the makeup girl for the election coverage night. So I had like all the powder on the cue ball, so it wasn't as shiny in the light. Anyway, and he said you looked good, sounded good, blah blah blah, better than normal. I said, okay, thank you. And then he said the strangest thing, as if all of that wasn't strange. He said the strangest thing. He says, I hope they don't recruit you to run in place of Biden. And I thought, wow, are they that desperate? I mean, because if you're a normal Democratic voter, you're not going to look at KMC and say that I believe in anything that you want. But I'm almost wondering, and I'm just kind of spitballing here, just throwing it out there. I'm almost wondering if literally anybody could run in his place and do better than what we saw on Thursday. Because what I didn't see was President Trump having to even break a sweat. Like, I almost think he was a little bit bored by the debate. Like, it was so easy. He was so comfortable in his skin. It just so rolled off of him. Like, there was nothing to it. Like, the big guy was like, debate this schmate. I got this, man. And he did. He didn't raise his voice. He said everything that he wanted to say. He got some points across big time. Joe Biden kept falling into a series of untruths over and over again. And as he was doing that, there was this, this panic that evidently started to set in across the Democratic universe. Because when it was over, Joy Reid came to the MSNBC camera and she said, my phone didn't stop buzzing. And she had like this look like a deer in the headlights that was like literally about to just like die. And you're like, what's wrong with Joy Reid? She goes, no, my phone did not stop buzzing. It was that bad. Operatives from all over the party were like, this is bad. And then over on CNN, they had Van Jones doing the same thing. He's like, oh, well, I think he needs to get out and blah, blah, blah. And you know what's really weird is that on Friday, Barack Obama posted on his Twitter feed, or X or whatever you call it now. He posts on the feed and says, everyone has a bad debate night every now and then, but this race is still fundamentally between someone who loves his country and wants to help people and someone who doesn't love his country and doesn't want to help people. I'm grossly simplifying his very long paragraph statement, but that was what he said. Someone who loves his country and wants to help his country and someone who doesn't love his country and doesn't want to help his country. And I got a note from Dr. Gina. She texted me and put the link in there. She goes, he just endorsed Trump. And I said, where's the lie? I can't find the lies. He's telling the truth. So having said all of that, why my boss would have thought that I would have wanted to step in for Biden when they toss him aside like wreckage upon the rocks, and they're going to have to. There's no way that man can last another 4 weeks, much less another 4 years. I mean, it was bad. And when I was speaking with Bethany Mandel about it over the Friday broadcast, she said, Kev, because my assumption was they didn't give him his happy juice that they gave him for the State of the Union. Remember when he did State of the Union? He was like, and it was like he had so much energy, he didn't know what to do with it. And he just like kind of came out of the TV screen at you. And you're like, why is he yelling at me? He doesn't even know who I am. But there was none of that last night. And I thought, oh, they didn't give him the happy juice. Bethany Mandel told me she thinks that they gave him the juice, and for the first time since they've been giving him the juice, it didn't work. And you saw, like, how he looked down and then would just get frozen, and then he would look up again, and he'd look down. Or the moderators were to his slight right in the center of the room, and Trump was all the way to his right, and Biden kept turning to his left to try to argue to somebody about what he was taught. He was always over to the left, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that. It made me very uncomfortable just to watch it all happen. It was very, very creepy and very, very hurtful. It scared me. It caused me a little bit of panic. Anyway, we've got a big show tonight. Marc Lauder's here. We're going to talk about where the campaign goes from here. We're going to talk with Christine Serrano Glassner in the second hour, kind of the same topic, and what role women are going to play in the election. That should be a lot of fun. Got some sketch comedy tonight from Penn Holderness and the Babylon Bee comedy troupe. And before we're done, the hottest musician in the country, Gracie Abrams, is here. She's got a new single, and a little bit later on, she's got a new song with Taylor Swift, and we've got both of those for you tonight. You don't want to miss this. This is the power-packed pre-July 4th edition of That Kevin Show, which you should have already had on your schedule anyways, but if you haven't, make sure you do, because now more powerful than ever. Go to thatkevinshow.com to see all the archives. Go to thatkevinstore.com to buy your snazzy coffee mug, and we're giving one of those away in the second hour. If you've not registered to win, thatkevinshow@gmail.com. Send us your name, choice of mug, and mailing address. Your chance to win every week between now and the end of the year. Kevin McCullough coming right back from Times Square. Don't change that dial.
From New York, it's That Kevin Show.
See, I knew it.
Come on, Kev. What's a few classified documents between friends?
I told you all the time. I knew it. I knew he had some too.
Here he is. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. Always glad to have you with us. Kevin McCullough, That Kevin Show, thatkevinshow.com, thatkevinshow@gmail.com, and That Kevin Show on all social media. So if you're ever confused, just That Kevin Show. Someone that we like to talk to oftentimes in the early part of the week, because we believe that first things first and America first is what we're all about here at That Kevin Show, is Marc Lauder of the America First Policy Institute, and he rejoins us. Marc, it's good to see you. Big week. We had the debate. We've got kind of the next layer of the race in front of us, which really is, I mean, we're going to go into like the summer doldrums here, and then it's going to hit Labor Day, and bam, the nuclear bomb is going to go off in terms of the interest in the election. But I'm guessing, and I'd love to know your assessment of where you think we stand in the Trump versus Biden race. And do you think it's still going to be Trump versus Biden? A lot of people speculating that the feller at the White House just can't even make it to the ice cream shop by himself, much less run the country anymore.
Well, first things first, I do think it will be Biden, and I'll give you a very easy reason why. Democrats are bleeding black voters. They are losing black voters in droves because things cost more under Joe Biden. Communities aren't safer under Joe Biden. And just like everyone else, black Americans can't afford it and they don't like it. So that's why they're bleeding black support. If you replace Joe Biden with anyone other than Kamala Harris, you will cost yourselves even more black support.
What about Michelle Obama?
Black women. She's never expressed any interest. She hated her time in Washington, according to most reporting. And she said on multiple occasions she has no desire to go and be president. And so they're stuck because Kamala Harris is even more unpopular than Joe Biden, who is historically unpopular.
Yeah.
So I think they're between a rock and a hard place of their own choosing, and they have no choice but to move forward with Joe Biden. But to your earlier point, look, I think we're winning right now. Remember, never in the 2019 or 2020, even before COVID, was Donald Trump ever leading Joe Biden head-to-head in the Real Clear Politics average. He's been ahead of him every day since September. He's winning on the issues. He's not winning one or two swing states. He's winning them all.
Right.
And he only needs to win a couple of swing states. So, I mean, this thing is set up very strong, but we got to run through the tape. Got to make sure that we get out every vote you can. Need to go places where Republicans may not always be thought of.
Well, speaking of that, and let me
votes.
just jump onto that because it ties into your argument about the vice president. Last Saturday, Donald Trump goes to Temple University in the heart of Philadelphia, packs the place out. Hispanics and African Americans in large numbers of those in attendance. He has a line around the building like a normal Trump rally does. The protesters that show up have 40 individuals in orange shirts lined up on the opposite side of the street, and the media reports it like it's the biggest throng of people they've ever seen. Temple University, a Republican in an election cycle?
No, I think it's great. I mean, you add that to the Bronx, you add that to the New Jersey rally. Donald Trump is going out and earning the vote of people who may not be historically Republican voters. And that's because Joe Biden's failure has opened the door. The reason why these people are open to coming over and voting for Donald Trump is, A, they know that he's going to fight to lower prices, fight to make them more secure, and B, it's Joe Biden is the person who caused all those problems in the first place. And here's the thing that most people don't realize. I mean, they think, okay, great. North Philly, or where Temple is probably 90-10 for Joe Biden. He doesn't have to make it 50-50. If he makes it 85-15, it's game over.
Yeah, just a portion of it is all that they will need, and at the end of the day, it's that's within reach. And I want to ask you about New York. New poll last week again calls New York within 1% Trump to Biden head-to-head. Now, this was already trending that way during the trial. I wrote a piece a couple of weeks ago for townhall.com that said if he names Lee Zeldin as his running mate and doesn't ask Lee to do anything other than just go campaign from one end of New York to the other, he came so close to being governor, I think that he could possibly win New York. I mean, is the Trump team actively trying to topple the map in a way that Democrats don't see coming?
Absolutely. In fact, I just read that the campaign is opening up new field offices in the Commonwealth of Virginia. They're opening up new offices in the state of Minnesota. And of course, we've already seen, as we've discussed, Trump campaign in the Bronx, Trump campaign in New Jersey, Trump campaign in Philadelphia. He's going where the votes are. And that's got to petrify Democrats because it doesn't take that much of a shift to change the outcome of an election. And so if Donald Trump is tied in Virginia, leading or tied in Minnesota, within, a few percentage points in New York, it's game over for Joe Biden because he's going to have to spend his time and money solidifying a state he should have put away a long time ago, and he just can't do it.
For people that are watching, New York and California are traditionally the starting bases for Democrats, and Texas and Florida are the starting bases for Republicans, and then it's fill in the rest. If early on election night you get something called for Trump, or even if it's just close, and it takes New York way, way, way into the morning hours to determine a winner, does that depress turnout in California and further west?
It possibly does, but I have a feeling there's going to be such high interest in this campaign. I think it's, motivation's probably not going to be a huge issue, but what it could signal is close states or states that shouldn't be close are going to trend because, look, if New York is flipping, then what's happening with Democrats in Michigan? What's happening with Democrats in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or even Minnesota? Go out further. We're going to see, obviously, Nevada flip. If New York is close or too close to call, does that mean that people in Colorado have the same choice? California, the People's Republic of California is a lost cause. They're gone.
Correct.
But, what about Oregon? They've had a couple of close races recently. Is this going to be a sign of another runaway? And I think it's going to be places like the Commonwealth of Virginia, New York, New Jersey, maybe New Hampshire, and then Minnesota. Those are the ones to keep an eye on to see what's developing.
Well, if you told me that COVID was taken away and that Trump would have gotten 11 million more in his second election than he got in his first, I would have said there was 0% chance that someone would beat him. Obviously, the COVID rules allowed for a lot of ballots to be counted. You mentioned Nevada. They had a 0% signature match in place, and their courts there said, nope, we have a signature match in place for a reason. You have to observe that. So this go around, they're going to have to compare. You can't draw a squiggle and say that that's a ballot. It's not going to count anymore. And I think that, Wisconsin, their Supreme Court statewide said every COVID protocol was unconstitutional. So we're going to see some reforms that kick in. In addition to that, the desperation of the voters is at a level I've never seen it in the modern era in terms of disliking what they have and desiring something different. And Mark, this is the first time where you've had two presidents who had a full term each really show you what they could do, and the American people can see for themselves.
Yeah, it's been more than 100 years since we last had that. And of course, obviously, we didn't have the media, the social media that we do now. So the first time in modern history where people can compare records. And that's what this election is going to be about. You're going to hear President Trump talk about that throughout the rest of the summer. It's like, look, you tried it Joe Biden's way. Here's what you got.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back, Kevin McCullough. It is That Kevin Show. Very glad to have you with us live from Times Square. Mark, last Sunday in my syndicated piece, and this is partly because I'm working with candidates and I'm seeing what, in a closer way than I have in a long, long time, I'm seeing what the actual campaign trail is looking like. And I noticed that the president's message is very simple, and I think this is a simple message election. Joe Biden has made us feel unsafe. He's made us less prosperous, and he's put our children in grave risk. And I think that the simple three-point plan for every elected that's going to be running for Congress or Senate needs to parrot this message. And if they do it in a unified fashion, that you will have the most united Republican message that they've come out with in a long, long time. But what independent and Democrat would disagree with this message? Donald Trump and the Republicans will protect your safety. They will protect your money. They will protect your kids. The safety is going to be a closed border and backing the blue. Money is tax reductions and regulation elimination. Other things that they can do, like energy, that are going to bring costs down. Protecting your kids means doing away with Joe Biden's mandates to let boys play on high school teams of girls, be in their locker rooms, be in their bathrooms. This is so simple. And I don't know of an independent or Democrat that I've talked with in this election cycle to date that disagrees with any of those 3 points.
No, I think you're exactly right. I phrase it as it's affordability. Because, the economy is kind of just a big, large term. But really what people want, they want things to be affordable again. They want to be able to afford groceries, gas, maybe a family vacation, things that they're now putting on their credit cards or not taking their summer vacation with their families because they can't afford to make ends meet. And then it is about security. It's about security at home. It's about our southern border. It's about security in your community, in your neighborhood, because of Joe Biden's illegal alien crisis, of also about the lack of support for police and letting woke criminals out of jail. And so these are very basic messages. I agree with you completely, Kevin. That's the message that we should take. You're going to get people nodding in agreement. And they don't have to love everything. They don't have to put a MAGA hat on today.
That's right.
But if you want more affordable things, a more secured community, a secured southern border, how about not a world at war? Well, let's go back to the policies that work. Vote that way. We'll get you the MAGA hat later.
Yeah. Well, and I think that on the women's vote, I think for the suburban mom especially, the mandate that Biden had when he came in, that he was going to keep kids' lunches and breakfasts from being funded by the federal government if they didn't adopt this concept that you had to let boys on girls' sports teams. That has done so much damage. I mean, I just had last week on the show Peyton McNabb, who took a volleyball spike from a guy playing on a girls' team. The dude was 6'1". He got way up over the net. The spike had to come down at more than 100 miles an hour, hit her in the face. At first, they didn't even know anything was wrong with her, but she's got permanent nerve and brain damage because of the impact. That's the kind of stuff, me as a dad with a daughter, and Biden's insisting upon implementing it regardless of the safety or any of the other things. When you talk about safety, money, and kids, you're striking a dagger through the heart of every taxpayer. This is stuff they care about, and it's stuff that Donald Trump is 1,000% on the right side of.
Yeah, the more we talk about parents, students, parents' rights, you have a right to ask your school board or your school administrator, the principals, the teachers, about what's going on in your child's classrooms. And because of the woke teachers unions, the radical left, and the Biden administration, you are considered a terrorist if you question about boys and girls' bathrooms or girls' sports or what they're being taught, if they're being taught actual American history or their woke ideology, all of these kinds of things. I mean, the reason why Glenn Youngkin was elected as governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia was because he basically stood up for parents' rights to ask their kids' teachers and administrators and principals what's going on and have their voice heard.
Yeah. No, you have to do it. And love how Biden promotes, job growth. Well, yeah, but now I'm working 3 jobs to cover the amount of goods necessary for me to live month to month that I used to work 1 job to provide for.
I saw a survey that said half of Americans are not going to take a summer vacation this year because they simply can't afford it. Well, that's Joe Biden's fault. And we have to keep talking in ways like that, where people are nodding with you because you're experiencing their pain. Talking about, random economic indication numbers is not the way to connect. Let's remember, people are experiencing pain out there, and Joe Biden thinks they're too stupid to realize that the pain is real.
And if they complain about it, he blames them.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. From New York, That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. It is Kevin McCullough. It is That Kevin Show, having a big time, a lot of fun this Saturday night and Sunday night. I hope that you are as well. Still to come, we have got a fabulous new music spotlight tonight. Gracie Abrams. And you may know her as the opening act to Taylor Swift, but we've got her for 2 songs tonight, so it's going to be a lot of fun. My next guest needs no introduction because he is not only the CEO of Parody Operating Group, and he has been with us several times in the past, but he also heads up this little website called oilfacts.com. Ed Kovalik, welcome back to That Kevin Show.
It's great to be on the show, Kevin.
Yeah. Let's talk about the thing that you're doing right now. Now, I've been catching you on all kinds of shows across the country. You've been on the Mike Gallagher show and the Joe Piscopo show and Mark Davis and all these others. You're talking about these kind of irrefutable facts about fossil fuels. Why are you making this an issue at this point?
Well, there's been so much misinformation and disinformation. I frankly don't know what the difference is between those two anymore, but about energy and about fossil fuels and the role of renewables, and a lot of mistruths have been spoken. So I think it's really important for your audience and for people in general to know the truth. And that's why we launched the website oilfacts.com to educate the public on, the real facts of the matter behind energy.
And what you're talking about kind of nationwide this week is the fact that fossil fuels are oftentimes kind of referred to as villains, but in fact, they've saved a lot of lives over the course of mankind's history. Give me some examples.
Well, I think the greatest statistic that jumps off the page is the fact that climate-related deaths have decreased by 98% over the last 100 years. Really brought about by fossil fuels, even as temperatures have risen and CO2 levels have risen. And so, all of this is really made possible by the fact that fossil fuels allow us to grow our food efficiently, to irrigate crops efficiently, to provide heating and cooling for people in their homes and places of work. And, none of these things really were possible in the prior 100-year period before this last one, which is why so many more people died as a function of climate.
Yeah. Well, and I just, every time about this time of year, I get really thankful that I've got air conditioning in my house. And I'm thinking that while it's more of a luxury for me, because I could probably survive with open windows and just suffer through, some warm days, in places on planet Earth, AC and heating have saved lives as well, and those have largely been brought about because of this.
That's exactly right. Most people don't really understand the fact that half of the world lives in miserable poverty because they just don't have any energy. The amount of energy that our refrigerators consume annually is greater than that of a family for the entire year in the developing world. And we may think that these things are luxuries, that air conditioning, heating, refrigeration are luxuries, but it's really cold-hearted to think that people around the world shouldn't have the same things that we have to increase our standard of living, because frankly, they're not luxuries. If you don't have these things that we take for granted, then your productivity as a country, greatly diminishes. You can't work in factories that are sweltering hot. You can't live in homes that are, incredibly cold. And so, that's driven a lot of disease around the world as well, because, 40% of the world's population still cooks in their homes using animal dung and manure. And that causes a great number of, breathing-related deaths in the world. And so I think the humanitarian perspective is that everybody in the world deserves access to fossil fuels, clean, impactful energy to empower their lives and better their lives.
Well, friends, these are just some of the facts that you'll find if you go to oilfacts.com, and there's going to be a series of these kind of laid out over the next few weeks. And the purpose of it is very simple. We want you to use the information at oilfacts.com to have intelligent discussions with your friends and neighbors who may be confused about the energy issue. They may think that because it's been so branded in the media as being a terrible thing, that they may not know the truth. So oilfacts.com is a free resource. In fact, they've even got a newsletter that you can sign up for there, and you'll get additional facts sent to you as they're able to put them together. And it's a great way to start a conversation about arguably what is going to be, I think, one of the most important issues of the election cycle. And Ed, just 2 nights ago, there was the first debate. Looking towards November 5th, how important should the energy issue rank in terms of what the candidates talk to us about?
That's a great question, and there are really a couple perspectives on that. One is that the greatest economic driver, I think, to this election is inflation, the inflation that we've experienced over the last several years. And, the core component of inflation is energy prices, besides rent and cost of goods. And so the higher oil prices are, the higher inflation is, the higher and longer interest rates stay. And so I think that is a core driver to the economic well-being of the country. So to me, it's a top 3 issue in this election. And, you may think that as the CEO of an oil company, we're hopeful to have higher oil prices for longer. But in fact, our industry has been so innovative in the U.S. That's really what we're known for, is American, ingenuity, that we've lowered our costs of production so low that we can afford much lower prices. And that's really what we're advocating is, renaissance for American energy, a drive back towards American energy independence to lower the cost for consumers, which will in turn lower inflation. So I think it's a, extremely core issue. Yeah. I think the other angle is geopolitically. We see all the conflict around the world that's really shaking up the geopolitical structures around the world between a unipolar, U.S. dominant world that we all, see in our rearview mirror, and this current state of affairs that's very volatile. And, you'll notice that the countries involved are, really fighting over energy.
Go to oilfacts.com, sign up for the Insider newsletter, and see for yourself. Oilfacts.com, oilfacts.com.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. Serving it up with a no-drink minimum. It's That Kevin Show.
There's not an artist that is any hotter than this one right now. She's opening for Taylor Swift on all of her European dates. And she has a brand new single of her own called Close to, opening on the road right now for Taylor Swift. Next hour, the first time they ever performed one of her biggest hits together. Straight ahead on That Kevin Show.
Get the soundtrack. Search hashtag New Music Spotlight on Spotify or Apple Music.
Ask your doctor about Bidenica, the sleep aid made from 100% Joe Biden press conference.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. anyway.
Bidenica has a patented blend of confusion and forgetfulness that will calm the most overactive brains.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. I mean, think about it.
When they sold out American jobs and killed the Keystone Pipeline, it kept me up all night worrying about how we pay our bills. But then I got Bidenica, and I've never slept better.
Sometimes when I get hopped up on sugar, my parents give me Bidenica so I pass out. Other times they give it to me during the day, probably so they can do the deed. Gross.
Warning, people who have used Bidenica have experienced rampant lying and an inability to secure the southern border. Others have hallucinated and fought breakfast cereals.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Ask your doctor if Bidenica is right for you.
Well, anyway, live from Times Square, it's That Kevin Show.
Somewhere in the bowels of the city that never sleeps
Kevin McCullough, radio host with Salem Media,
is a man also not sleeping.
Syndicated radio talk show host Kevin McCullough.
And that guy would like a word with you.
Many of you know him from as Nostradamus.
Of course that Kevin Show is going to be great. The only thing that could be greater, of course, would be That Donald Show. But we don't have that, so we have That Kevin Show.
Featuring the music of Dick Tunney and the Dream in Color Orchestra. Serrano Glassner is fighting the fight for women everywhere in election 2024. Sketch comedy from the Babylon Bee and Penn Holderness. And back in the spotlight, it's Gracie Abrams and Taylor Swift. Where his idea of community development is gathering all his friends, pointing at Tesla's Cybertruck as they try to parallel park and scoff at them. Here's the Kevin!
All right, David, we all know that you lie worse than Biden. Trump was even actually able to say that the other night. But I've never once gathered a crowd around to watch a Cybertruck parallel park. I think they're kind of ridiculous-looking vehicles. But that's my opinion. There's people that like them, so maybe go have fun with it. I don't know. Anyway, it's time to get to the news. Here we go. For Assignment Desk Weekend, I'm Kevin McCullough. Everyone on planet Earth watched Thursday night's debate with Biden and Trump. National leaders, janitors, and everybody in between. And the reviews from the start were horrible and then proceeded to get worse. The president was criticized by everybody, literally everybody in the known universe, with the exception of his current elementary school teacher.
Oh, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie! Yes.
Interesting choice of words, lie, for a school teacher to use, especially when it was her own little Joey that was doing it.
He said he's the only president in a while who didn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world. Troops have, of course, died on his watch. He said he's put in a $15 per shot cap on insulin and Medicare. It's a $35 a month cap. He said it's a $200 cap on overall drug spending in Medicare. It's $2,000 a year. He said the border now has fewer crossings than when Trump was in office. That's generally not true. He said, or at least strongly suggested, unemployment was at 15% when he took office. It was actually 6.4. He said Trump wants to get rid of Social Security. Trump doesn't. He said billionaires pay 8.2% in taxes. It's much higher. He said Trump told Americans to inject bleach amid COVID. We know Trump made foolish comments about scientists studying disinfectant injection, but didn't frame it as advice to people. And Biden said the Border Patrol endorsed him. No, its union supported the border bill he'd supported, never endorsed him himself.
And you know, it had to be brutal if the witches on the brew, the shrews, nope, wrong word. The binary confused spokespeople on The View were the ones coming for him. Joy Behar going so far as to say it was hard to watch. And this, being hard to watch, coming from an expert like Joy Behar. Assignment Desk Weekend has it on firm sourcing that being hard to watch is the expression of every one of Joy Behar's makeup mirrors right before it cracks itself up. RFK Jr. had concerns following the debate, but mostly he asked the same question everyone else with a pulse was asking following the festivities. Who the bleep is running the damn country? Which brings us to another point. We would like to address these comments to President Biden. Listen, Joe, if your mind is glitching and you've forgotten what you needed to remember and you wanted to say, it doesn't make it any less noticeable to keep saying that your opponent hasn't done a damn thing about it. In fact, a lot of times it didn't make sense where you would insert the phrase hadn't done a damn thing in the middle of a sentence that it didn't go with. For instance, when I go to pick out my favorite ice cream, he hasn't done a damn thing and I want chocolate chip. It just didn't work. Especially, this is the case, when you tried to take credit for absolutely every single thing that he did. I'm just saying, not a good look. And as if the news wasn't already bad enough for the Biden team, new surveys revealed on Friday that independent voters overwhelmingly now choose President Trump following the festivities of the debate. Some observers found this surprising given the fact that Biden shook hands with many invisible independent voters before bedtime, greeted each one of them. Right before he sat down to his nightly serving of hot fudge. For Assignment Desk Weekend, I'm Kevin McCullough.
I'm Bob Boeing, founder of Boeing. You know, flying can be a stressful experience for people of all ages. Here at Boeing, we know you feel safest when you're flying on a plane made by a company that above all else prioritizes diversity. Sorry, Steve. Welcome aboard, Black Woman Steve.
I don't have to use this, right? You do know I'm just an actor.
Classic Black Woman Steve. As you're flying through the air at 30,000 feet in a pressurized metal tube being propelled by highly explosive jet fuel, you can rest easy knowing that you're in a Boeing. And at Boeing, we have stringent standards, making sure to hire our airplane technicians based on the single most important factor, what they like to do in the bedroom. Now, we institute regular surprise certification checks to make sure everyone is qualified. Show of hands. Who's gay?
I am. I'm a Methodist.
Close enough. We know when you board an airplane, your first question is, who's the pilot? Well, there's no need to worry your pretty little head about that when you're on a Boeing. Our new oppression detection technology scans the pilots to make sure they're part of a marginalized group, like women, Pacific Islanders, or even the blind.
Access granted. Straight male detected.
Whoa, looks like this white man is piping up again.
So next time a door falls off one of our planes, you can take pride in knowing it was slapped on there by a minority, or a gay, or maybe both. And when your plane is coming in hot and the landing gear fails to deploy, just remember, all our technicians have had extensive DEI training, and most of them are LGBTQ. Only a bigot would have a problem with that. I mean, you're not a bigot, are you? I didn't think so. So remember, if it's not a Boeing, I ain't going.
Honey, quick, come here.
What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. I vacuumed the floor.
And?
Yeah, there's popcorn on the floor, and I cleaned it up.
What do you want, a frickin' medal?
Actually.
No.
I want a freaking medal. There was a super basic need, and I met it. Give me a freaking medal. When I do something, I need a lot of credit.
I get the point. You don't have to.
I want a freaking medal. Anything I do, I will always mention. 'Cause I want a freaking medal. I did a chore, I'll bring it to your attention.
Ready or not, we'll be right back. That Kevin. Now, back to That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us. That Kevin Show. And my next guest is someone who joined us early on as a candidate for the Senate nomination for the state of New Jersey. She came ever so close and spent much less money to do it than the one who ended up getting the nomination. Curtis Bashaw is the Republican nominee for Senate in the state of New Jersey. But she is fighting the fight regardless, and she's doing everything she can to get America First principles elected to office. And it is my joy and honor to welcome back Christine Serrano Glassner. Hello, lady.
Hello, Kevin. So happy to see you again.
Good to have you back. You seem a little bit none the worse for the wear after a kind of tough nomination battle. How you holding up?
Oh, terrific. You know, it's for me, I'm very resilient. I bounced back the next day and I got to work because what's important to me is the United States, the families of the United States, and New Jersey. This is what's important. And these are the, we need to make changes. We need to repair things for the people. And so that's my goal. That's what I'm working on.
Well, for the purposes of this conversation, we did not speak a great deal about your elected office, but you are a mayor and you have been very busy in the public eye of serving constituents for a while. And you also have this kind of ability to reach the America First voters in your state that really no one else has reached in very significant ways. What are your immediate intentions? What's your goal? What are you going to be doing for the next few months?
Well, Kevin, instantly people were calling and texting me and asking me to come and speak with them. And so I've been out speaking with groups. I'm on the phone constantly, and I'm pulling people together to make sure that we continue to get our voters out, but that we're also reaching out to other communities. And so I'm doing a lot of that as well. I'm going to speak at churches. I'm all over the place because people want to hear exactly what the plan needs to be for this country and how we protect families, how we protect our young adults and our senior citizens. They all want to feel like they have a future. And right now with this inflationary economy and the loss of safety in this country, people aren't feeling that. And so I'm focused on that, and I'm going to make sure that, that's what we deliver for people.
It's so kind of prescient that you said what you just exactly said, because I don't think that I told you that my syndicated column last week for Town Hall gave 3 specific ideas that Trump and the entire Republican ticket can win with coast to coast. And they are this: protect our safety, protect our money, and protect our kids. Mm-hmm. Safety involves border security. It involves backing the blue. It involves reducing crime. It involves being tough on wrongdoers, but certainly shutting down the border. Money, cut taxes, cut regulations, and get those tax cuts that Trump put into place made permanent, long-term, including the child tax credit, and certainly protecting children, everything from the womb to, keeping boys off of girls' high school athletic teams, locker rooms, and showers. These are all things that people care very, very strongly about. And Christine, one of the things I'm noticing, and you and I are both from a more blue part of the country than many of those that would be watching or listening, is that there's independents and there's center left people that care about all three of those things in amazing, abundant numbers, and they're very disenchanted with what's been going on thus far.
Well, and you know, Kevin, as a woman, as a mom, and as a mayor, I know how women feel. And women feel very, deeply about these issues, especially the economy, because often in their families, they're the ones that manage the budget. And if you're a single mom, obviously you're the one who's managing the budget. And so being able to continue to buy groceries for children, for families that are growing, to pay for your energy costs that have gone through the roof, and to continue and provide for your family's future. Or if you're a senior citizen, your own future, it's become really scary for people, and they want to see some relief. They need to see some relief because they're not able to save. And so from that perspective, and the other thing that's really important to women right now is safety. We are seeing our young women, and it breaks my heart. And every time it happens, I literally cry. They are being raped and they are being murdered because of this open border. And our Biden administration could care less. Joe Biden has blood on his hands to have 12-year-old Jocelyn, a young girl, a baby, murdered and raped. And what I'm hearing is that she was tortured for a couple of hours first. Laken Riley, haven't forgotten about her. This has to be addressed now. I was just reading this morning. ISIS. There are 50 ISIS members that they led into this country, and they have no idea where these people are. So that's a grander safety issue. But from women's perspective, we want to see safety returned. And we want to know that our daughters have a fair future. And right now, many women are not feeling that way. There was a poll that came out recently, and there have been big drops in numbers of women that have voted for Biden in the past. And he doesn't have the numbers that he used to have. Guess where those people are going? They're heading over to Trump. And we know that President Trump will restore the policies that he had in place, especially for women. And so that's part of why I'm going to make sure that everybody is out there voting, and especially the folks that feel disenfranchised, and they understand exactly what President Trump is going to deliver for them.
Well, it's kind of interesting because obviously the debate this last week kind of highlighted the frailty versus the strength of the two candidates and kind of the distinct policy positions, which are clear. But do you remember, if you rewind the tape all the way back to the very first day that Trump announced for 2016, it was in sometime in 2015 when he announced, and he came down the escalator, and the media absolutely savaged him for saying that illegal immigration is bringing murderers and rapists and criminals into our country. And he didn't say immigration, he said illegal immigration. And what we have seen, we're seeing it now almost on a weekly basis, is the name and face of a young daughter, a young woman who is being raped and murdered. And almost entirely these cases have been illegal immigrants that have been involved. The media won't apologize to him now, but surely women are seeing that President Trump was right and that what we have done is just an anathema to what America should be doing.
Well, you know, Kevin, the mainstream media, they will not even say these young women's names. They're just numbers to them. And women are listening to that and paying attention. Yeah. They are human beings. They're young women. Jocelyn, Laken, there's a number of other names. I could go on and on. We have to humanize this situation again. And, you know, it's not good on the other side either. People that are trying to get into this country are being murdered, are being raped. Children are being trafficked, sex trafficked. It's a bad situation all around. Biden could have done something about it. You know, in the first 100 days that he was in office, he executed 94 executive orders, 94. And yet when it came time now, in this past year, to do the same thing and use his powers to fix the border, he claimed he didn't have the power to do so. Only Congress could do so. If he could do so in the beginning, he could do it now. He had the power to mess it up. That's for sure.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. It is Kevin McCullough, and this coming week we've got the 4th of July on our doorstep, and so it's a great day this coming Thursday to be thankful for our independence. But as my guest rejoins me, Christine Serrano Glassner, someone who came within a hair's breadth of getting the nomination for Senate for the state of New Jersey, but she, as the Trump-endorsed candidate, is not backing down. She is continuing to fight the fight and get the message out so that Election Day, November 5th, is victorious for the cause of good. Christine, we were talking about the safety of women and kids in the last segment, and the Independent Women's Forum and others have done a tremendous job this last year of documenting the damage that Biden's executive actions, when it came to insisting on gender ideology being put into the schools, the damage that's done to young women. And just last week on this very show, I had Peyton McNabb, who took a volleyball to the face from a man. He was 6'2" when he spiked it over the volleyball net, hitting her in the head, causing permanent brain damage, neurological damage. This is just one instance where a man is on the field of play against women with an outsized ability and strength and skill, and a woman has suffered for it. But that's one story of 2,000 from the last 3 years where women have suffered because men are taking their spots, taking up advantages in competition against them. And Donald Trump's been very clear. On day one, he's going to stop that gender ideology policy and say, no, boys don't belong on girls' sports teams, and everyone deserves a safe place where they can compete in a safe and equitable fashion for the sports and the scholarships and the things that are important to them. But I was told this last week that voters don't care about this issue. And I'm just curious, as a mom and as a mayor, as someone who has seen this phenomenon explode in the last 3 years, what's been your thoughts? Not as the mayor, but as the mom. When you hear these stories and you see what's happening, do you think moms are motivated about this issue as it pertains to their kids?
Oh, absolutely. They are. And they're talking about it. And that's part of why you've seen more and more women running for Board of Ed positions, because this is an issue. It starts in these schools. They want their young women to continue to have the rights that they should have, especially as it pertains to Title IX. And it's the Biden administration that has disassembled that and said, you know what? You don't have those rights anymore. And they're fighting for that, and they're going to continue to. There's another story you may remember, and I still remember watching this video. I think it was from Connecticut, and it was field hockey where a young woman, there's a video of all of her teeth coming right out with that ball smacking her right in the face. Talk about permanent damage. And you know what? That game continued to play on. Horrible situation. People should be standing up for young women across this country because I know they are in New Jersey. Nobody wants to take anybody's rights away from them. But when it comes to safety, we have to be sensible. We have to be logical, and we've got to use some common sense. And to have a transgendered female who is twice as tall, or at least a foot taller, and has a whole lot more might behind their ability, it's not fair. It's just not fair on the playing field and in so many other areas. And so this has to be corrected. We know it. And women are going to continue to fight for this.
And if you insist upon it on the playing field, then that translates to the locker rooms and showers. And we've had sexual assaults, and we've had, horrific things happen because this is astounding to me, Christine, because the left always claims to be the party of science, party of science, party of science. But the party of science should know that biologically speaking, you cannot change a person's sex. You can change their appearance. You can change maybe their emotions, how they feel. You can give them drugs to make them think certain things instead of other things. But at the end of the day, you cannot change that DNA. That DNA will remain as what it was at their time of birth. And what that grows into is real danger. And I want to know where the feminist groups are. Where are the people that have been screaming about the fact that you've got to have Title IX and safe spots for women to compete against other women and to do so successfully. It seems to me this is a reversion almost to the 1920s where men are replacing women, and you don't have feminist groups standing up saying, no, not on our watch.
Well, Kevin, you know that the liberal elites, and when we had those days, right, where they were fighting for women's rights, they thought for themselves. Now they're just lemmings who do exactly what they're told, and they don't even think through that process. And I think you're going to start to see some reversal of that.
Christine Serrano Glassner, I'm sorry about your nomination loss, but I am happy that you are still fighting the fight. Please come back and see us again soon.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough. From New York, That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. Kevin McCullough, glad to have you with us. Thank you for being here. Big, busy week. If you follow me on Salem News Channel, you know that we had wall-to-wall coverage of the debate on Thursday night, and I didn't even see the bed till like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. And as we were trying to put together tonight's award-winning edition for your weekend, we still had a lot of production yet to do. So I'm just glad to be here. Now, one of the things we've been doing since the beginning of the year, and it's kind of fun and kind of cool, is making sure that you have a chance to win the glorious That Kevin Show mugs. We've got them in black with the white logo. We've got them in white with the black logo, and the red accent just adds to the whole fun and nature of what this of what this mug can represent in your life. But we've promised you that you're going to have a chance to win one for the duration of the year. And so tonight's winner, just to be very direct and to the point about it, is Catherine Cermak. Catherine, congratulations. You selected the white mug with the very snazzy black logo and red accent. We will be getting that to you shortly, and I hope that you enjoy that. And when you do receive it, snap a selfie of you enjoying some beverage in it and then send it back our way. If you would like to register for your chance to win one of these adorable, beautiful, stellar mugs from your favorite TV show, just go ahead and send that email to thatkevinshow@gmail.com, 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 and in the subject line, put mug. And in the body of the email, we need your mailing address, and we need which mug you would prefer. Is it the white one with the black logo? Is it the black one with the white logo, the red accent, etc.? And please check that out for yourself. Now, we've also got some very exciting news in that there are some brand new baseball caps and other things with That Kevin Show plastered on them. And we would love it if you would protect your face with one of those when you go to the pool this weekend or this summer. And you can get all of those over at thatkevinstore.com, thatkevinstore.com. You can buy as many of the mugs as you want. We've got snazzy sweatshirts for the fall and winter, and we've got some beautiful baseball caps that I think you'll enjoy as well. And ladies, don't be shy. You look really cute with these things, you know, with the ponytail coming out the back and all the rest. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Lovely Bright told me a long time ago, don't comment on women's fashion. It's not appropriate for you to do. To be just very candid with you. And I'm going to take her advice at this point in time. Anyway, I've got another update for you. You know that this year we have been in the process of trying to liberate 208 human slaves from the slavery situation in Sudan. And we've done this over the last number of years, and every year you blow me away. Usually at this point in the year, we're not more than halfway to our goal for the year. So we wouldn't, at this point in time, normally be past 104 of the 208 that were in captivity. By the way, all 208, we have their names. We know exactly where they are. We know who the slave masters are. We have begun negotiation for many of their release. And once that release is granted, then that's where CSI and you and I come into play. CSI stands for Christian Solidarity International. But through our gift of $250, we are not only liberating the slave, but giving them everything they need to start their life over again back home in South Sudan, where they were originally taken captive from, usually when they were just little girls. And the celebration, the joy, the unabashed happiness that they have when they get to this place to celebrate what's been done is just really heartwarming. And we've been telling these stories throughout the year. Well, we were coming up here on the last week in June before we flip over the month to July to begin the second half of the year. And we were still in the, we were still kind of lagging, not quite halfway to our goal for the year. And really, we wanted to be at a full 104 before the end of June this year. And I didn't know if we were going to make it. We were at 80 something just a week ago. And out of the blue, someone named Jerry and his wife named Melissa from the Arizona area said, just out of the blue, Kevin, we want to help liberate 30 additional slaves, all on their own, just in one gift, 30 slaves they wanted to take care of. So that pushes our total now to 115 that we have liberated on the year. And we are closing in on that goal closer and closer to the end of the year when our second liberation will take place. But the important thing about this is that this allows us to not only get the 104 that we know we can liberate done this year, the early part of this year, but we're going to be able to get a few more than what we had planned on taking care of as well. And every $250 supplies that bag of hope that helps that slave start over again. So from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to say thank you to every one of you listening by way of radio or watching by way of television or stream, that you have changed a life because you chose to get involved and because you chose to make it personal and give of your riches to help liberate them. I really do think that there is a God, and I think that he delights in stuff like this. And I just pray every blessing on you for not only helping us hit the goal, but just soar right past it for the first half of this year. So thank you. And thank you, Jerry and Melissa, for your generosity. 115 slaves in the first half of this year is nothing to sneeze at. We have liberated now 4,500, approaching 4,500 individual human beings from slavery just over the last few years, and it is incredible, and I want to say thank you for doing that. If you would like to liberate a human being tonight, it's 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. And if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, you can go to a website called bringherhome.org, 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 and that will enable you to do that. Last but not least, we just heard from Ed Kovalik in the last hour with the website oilfacts.com. And if you watched the debate this last week, you know that energy is a priority. If you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know that energy is a priority in terms of keeping America safe. And if you feel a little uncomfortable having that discussion with some of your friends, oilfacts.com is the website for you.
Ready or not, we'll be right back. That Kevin. Serving it up with a no-drink minimum. It's That Kevin Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Gracie Abrams, this time with Taylor.
combined talents of Taylor Swift and Gracie Abrams in the first ever public performance of one of Gracie Abrams' newest songs called Us. Anyway, that's New Music Spotlight for tonight. I'm Kevin McCullough. It was a busy week. Thank you to everyone who had a part of it. And we hope you'll be back next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for That Kevin Show.